Welcome to Overachiever Recovery, the podcast for successful women who are ready to be more than just productive. I'm Dasha, a recovered overachiever myself. My goal is for you to reclaim the life you're meant to live, rooted in desire and self-interest. Let's dive in. Welcome to the first episode of Overachiever Recovery. You are in the right place if you feel like you've checked all the boxes, done all the right things, and are still wondering, is this it? Is this how my life is going to be until retirement? Today, we're talking about something that I like to call the invisible crisis of limbo. It's when your life looks good on paper, you've got the career, the relationships, the achievements, but inside, there's this quiet panic. You know that if nothing changes, it's going to break you. And I've been there myself, suffering quietly. And now I see more and more women, especially after 40, who are no longer interested in proving themselves in exchange for being liked and accepted. But they continue to live their lives as is. Nothing changes externally. So you live in this limbo that nobody talks about, because from the outside, you look like you have it all together. To be honest, I think this expression of quote unquote living a life of quiet desperation might be an appropriate term here. And I wonder if it's not a coincidence that you're listening to this podcast. So I'm here to tell you, you are not broken. You're just bored, exhausted, uninspired, and quietly terrified this is all there is. And that's not nothing. It's a crisis, just possibly not the kind of crisis that anyone talks about. You know, there's no dramatic collapse, no life-changing breakdown. Instead, it's a slow erosion of joy, of energy, of connection to yourself. And maybe you tell yourself, well, I should be grateful, I'm so blessed, or other people have it worse. But gratitude and your actual truth can coexist. You can love parts of your life and still want more. You know, I remember sitting in my beautiful office, working with big name clients, checking every box I thought mattered, and feeling this ache in my chest. Not sadness exactly, but more like hollowness. I remember reading a book at the time. It was written by a woman with terminal cancer. She wrote about her life that had been mapped out since before college, and she regretted not being braver, not taking any risks. And I remember it really scared me because that was my life. College, law school, partnership track. I had never done anything off the beaten path. I think that may have been the first sign of discomfort with that predictable, stable life. And I thought, if nothing changes, I'm going to wake up 10 years from now with even less energy and even less courage to do something about it. That's the crisis of limbo. It's sneaky because there is no acute pain forcing you to change. You can live in it for years. You normalize it. You start thinking this is what just life feels like. But the cost of staying here is massive. It's not just emotional, it's physical. Limbo drains your vitality. It dulls your creativity and joy. When was the last time you actually enjoyed something that you used to love? It also makes it harder to genuinely connect with the people you care about. And if you're an overachiever, you might respond by doubling down, working harder, adding more to your plate, filling the silence with busyness. But the truth is, what you're craving isn't more to do. It's more to feel, more to be, more life to live. You may just not be aware of it. So how on earth do you begin to get out of limbo? First, acknowledge it. Name it for what it is. an invisible crisis. So your brain actually stops gaslighting you into thinking it's nothing. Then get curious. What would you actually want if money or obligations weren't an issue? Ask yourself this playful question. If I could wake up tomorrow and my life felt amazing, how would I know? What would I see? What would I feel to let me know that I'm living my dream life? Most people don't even know what that would look like. So here is an invitation to start fantasizing and visualizing. You have to let yourself imagine what it would feel like to live with peace and joy in your life. Also, stop waiting for external permission. Nobody is coming to hand you a permission slip to redesign your life. You have to write it yourself. I know I was waiting for someone for a while to tell me it was okay to consider changes. Because I couldn't even imagine that my corporate career, being type A, all the stress that came with it, I couldn't imagine that it wasn't the right path for me. Next, make micro moves. You don't have to blow up your life. Start by changing one small thing every week and add joy, novelty, or connection. Invite a friend or a colleague for lunch. Take a painting class or a jewelry making class, or just do something that you think is silly or non-productive. You know what pleasure is? It is the opposite of productive. It serves no other function other than pleasure. When was the last time you let yourself have pleasure for the sake of it? And when I often talk about pleasure with my clients, I find myself needing to clarify that I'm not just talking about sexual pleasure. It can be, but not necessarily. I remember it took me so long after corporate to learn what pleasure was. And for us women, pleasure is hugely helpful for our hormones, and it helps to calm our nervous system down. So another step in getting out of limbo, surround yourself with people who are themselves opposed to living in stagnation. Spend time with those who make having a better life possible. When I realized I needed to make a change, there was no one around to inspire me or guide me. I think a lot of people actually wish that they were brave enough to change themselves, but instead, they try to talk me out of making a big change. I could have really used being around someone who lived a purposeful or fulfilling life. But I think most people just accept that they didn't get to love their jobs or the routine of their lives. And that's hard and that's sad. So please remember, the biggest trap is thinking change has to be dramatic. It doesn't. It just has to start. If you're listening to this and recognizing yourself in every word, hear me. You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You're just ready for more. The invisible crisis of limbo only stays invisible if we keep pretending it's fine. And it's not fine. You deserve to feel lit up by your own life. And if you want support in finding your way out of limbo and into something richer, fuller, and more you, come find me at coachingbydasha.com. And if you know someone who is living in this crisis quietly, send them this episode. They might not have the words for it yet, but they'll recognize the feeling. If this episode spoke to you, it isn't a coincidence you're here. If you're ready to start living life on your terms, I would love to help you get there. Find me at coachingbydasha.com or connect with me on LinkedIn. Until next time, choose yourself.